And as you go higher and higher frequency, the pattern changes. And so now imagine your own self through that pattern, because you're just atoms and energy. At a higher frequency, you have a different pattern and you see a different pattern everywhere, right? And it's not your pattern is right. It's right for you. You see it, and somebody at a lower frequency of energy would see a different pattern. They wouldn't see your pattern. And both are right. Both are right at the same time, just different frequencies. Now, if you take that concept and what is Bitcoin, I think the people that are really understanding Bitcoin, it's a higher frequency.
Did you feel that you were crazy at some point? Because I feel a lot of times crazy, and I didn't write a book that challenged a lot of the assumptions.
Every assumption. So challenges every assumption. And so this is, I've often said this, a system problem can't be seen from inside the system. And we're the system, and we can't see that should be bringing prices down. Then that would create that cognitive dissonance in everyone's brains. So challenging that was a big leap. And did I think I was crazy? No, because I chased it to the sand. What would Bitcoin look like? Could it stay decentralized and secure? Could it actually be this new thing that changed everything?
Yeah.
Would it resolve that paradox, or would it be captured? So did I think I was crazy? No, because I did the work to make sure I wasn't crazy. But did I think I was early? Yes. Do I think right now, do I realize how early we are? So insanely early.
It would then also allow us to really have abundance to flourish, right?
If everything comes into existence from our mind, right, and we choose the best value, then wouldn't it seem obvious that if you added more minds to be able to create more value to us in the free market, that we would achieve abundance faster? We would have everything we could ever want. Prices would be falling lower and lower and lower all the time. And it could be a competitive world to provide value to other humans. Kind of a beautiful thing.
Hi, and welcome back to New World in the Making. Today's guest is someone I never imagined I'd have the chance to speak with. Honestly, if someone had told me just a few weeks ago that this conversation would happen, I wouldn't have believed it. Jeff Booth is a tech entrepreneur and the author of The Price of Tomorrow, a book that didn't just inspire me, but truly shifted something in me. It was one of the sparks that set me on this path and eventually actually led me to the creation of this podcast. So in many ways, this felt like a full circle moment. And yeah, Jeff and I talk about economics and economic shifts, a spiritual perspective, and the agency we each have in shaping the new world we're making. I'm still taking it all in and still can't believe it. I'm really excited to share it with you. So let's dive in.
Just a quick one, and I promise quick one before we dive into the episode. I really want to take a moment to just say thank you for being here. And to keep this work alive and help it reach even more people, I need your help. Just by hitting that subscribe button, you're becoming an active part of this new world in the making. And you're enabling this conversation to grow into directions we can't even imagine yet. So thank you truly. And now for real, let's dive into today's conversation. Jeff, thanks so much and welcome to New World in the Making.
So glad to be here, Adriana. Thanks for having me.
I was already telling you before, but your book really inspired this podcast. It gave me a lot of answers to questions I was having and also opened up a whole new lot of new questions. So that led me ultimately to actually do this podcast and also study sustainability and innovation. But we didn't really talk about money or, debt, inflation, of all these things, which probably are a major reason of sustainability and unsustainable systems. And so this led me to do this podcast, and now you're here, and I'm just I can't believe it. So thanks so much. And Before we go into your book and all the valuable insights you have, I would love to go a little bit into your personal background. So if you could share a little bit what has brought you here where you are today.
Sure. And do you mind if before I do that, I just kind of what we talked about off camera,
Please.
and I love that. I love that insight. So here's how I look at the world: a whole
Yes.
bunch of people trying to solve problems, and your problem that you were trying to solve is sustainability, and so you went to school to understand that, and then entire track of trying to solve in sustainability, you didn't realize that it was connected to something very different, right? You didn't. It was on top of a system that had to extract more and be unsustainable, and nobody taught you. Nobody taught you that. It was so that insight took you to a different place to be able to solve a problem in a different way. So through that story in you, and now how you're actioning and moving your time into a system that is truly sustainable, that is healing the world, making a better world, and your commitment to that, you are activating, you're taking agency in bending reality into a direction that you want it to go, which is a beautiful thing. And so your story, my story, all of these stories are literally the same thing, because I didn't know this at one time, right? And over time, then just made choices to what's right and where do I want to spend my time. And so that is essentially describing what the beautiful thing about this is. And it also, when you see the world like that, you see that there's a whole bunch of other people still stuck making choices, not bad people, but making choices because of what they believe is right and trying to solve a problem, but impossible to solve a problem from the system that's creating the problem. So anyways, I thought your story is a perfect example of why this is such fulfilling work when you're inside when you're building the new system. It's a beautiful thing because you see the beauty in each person moving their time.
That's so true. And it's very fulfilling. I mean, I'm just starting, but it's just, such a new way of doing things that is very fulfilling for sure.
Awesome. So my background, uh, entrepreneur, wanted to solve problems. I started in real estate out of school. Then I through that course built a building company. Then through that kind of building was really hard. Trying to deliver projects on time was really hard. So I said I was going to solve it with technology. I created um, almost an Amazon of building supplies that at one time was worth $500 million. I made every mistake along the way, and a whole bunch of those mistakes. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. When you realize it's not the world conspiring against you, it's you conspiring against the world. And so all of those mistakes, then over time, and some of the right things were like lots of fun along the way too, and building that led me to an understanding of what I wrote about. Why aren't prices falling when technology is embedded in everything? And we are one side of the equation, that we use more things that provide more value. And an entrepreneur's job is to create more value for us. Otherwise, they fail.
Mhm.
So the output of that, what I just described, if you lived in a free market, has to be prices fall. It has to be. And I couldn't understand why that wasn't happening, which led me on a long chase onto how the existing system was wired to be able to extract that productivity from us, and concentrate it up into very few people under the guise that it was a free market, when it was not anything like that. And what would happen as technology moved faster and faster and faster against that system. So that, after talking about it for years around every campfire or friend, nobody wanted to talk to me anymore. It's like being a Bitcoiner early, being a Bitcoiner. No one wants to talk to you about Bitcoin anymore. So that was my, but talking about it for years, what would happen to society, and watching this happen to society, I couldn't believe people couldn't put these things together. And so I felt compelled to write the book. The book was a hard thing to try to synthesize what seemingly was complex into a whole bunch of different things to tie us together, something that people could read and understand. And so that I wrote that book. That book took off. I was Bitcoiner prior to that, but I wasn't nearly how I understand the system today as it being the only resolve to that problem. And so then did exactly what you're doing, moved more and more of my time to Bitcoin. And every time I moved more of my time to Bitcoin, everything was easier. It got easier. Life got easier. It was more aligned. It was everything became simple.
Did you feel that you were crazy at some point? Because I feel a lot of times crazy, and I didn't write a book that challenged a lot of the assumptions.
Every assumption, right? So challenges every assumption that people are,
Yeah.
and so this is, and I've often said this: a system problem can't be seen from inside the system. But when we are the system, like when our actions are trying to buy things that are trying to solve problems in our life to create more value for other people, and we're the other side of that action trying to get more value, and we're the system, and we can't see that should be bringing prices down, then that would create that cognitive dissonance in everyone's brains. So challenging that was a big leap. And did I think I was crazy? No, because I chased it to the sand. I kept on asking on both systems, on what would Bitcoin look like? Could it stay decentralized, secure? Could it actually be this new thing that changed everything?
Yeah.
Would it resolve that paradox, or would it be captured? And I still do today. I still think about through that lens all the time. And the same for the existing system that we lived in. And then I could hold two different thoughts at the same time and see how different people would operate in both systems and how that would transition. So did I think I was crazy? No, because because I did the work to make sure I wasn't crazy. I did the work myself. I didn't trust others to say. Other people influenced some, and I constantly looked and said, where do I have mistakes in my thinking? And I still do that today. But did I think I was early? Yes. Like, do I think right now? Do I realize how early we are? So insanely early. Like, even the majority of Bitcoiners are measuring Bitcoin through the fiat instrument which has to centralize and has to cause inflation, and they think Bitcoin's going up.
Yeah.
And so Bitcoin is repricing the entire world, and all prices will fall against it forever as long as it stays decentralized and secure. And then if you realize that you are a node, your actions in spending it, buying it, acting on it, building on top of it, running a podcast to teach others, your actions are influencing more people to understand what we're saying, right? And their journey is going down deeper and deeper and deeper. And as they contribute to that network, ensures it stays decentralized and secure, because they'll never go back. You realize that you realize what it is, and it's us. It's the best of us inscribed into a network for the best for us. And it doesn't really matter if some people want to try to cheat it, right?
Right.
They can do whatever they want according to their perspective. But this is, in my perspective, my view is this changes literally everything we know about how system design, prices, free markets, everything.
Can you go into that a bit? Maybe let's start with, you must be so tired of repeating yourself so much.
No, it's okay. Yeah.
So why is it so hard for us to see a world in deflationary terms? And how would that world look like?
So I'm going to You could tackle this from a whole bunch of different angles. You could tackle it from physics, you could tackle it from economics, you could tackle it from how we live our lives with our families, what that looks like. You could tackle it from a spirituality idea. And so each one of those would be a good lens to describe, right, what's actually happening.
Yeah.
But not the only lens. And you can see it even in Bitcoin. Different people in Bitcoin have different lenses that they might believe it's the entire lens. A lot of people would look at me and say, my entire lens is uh, is um, is the economy and what that looks like. When it couldn't be further from the truth. It's so much bigger than at least how I perceive myself different. So here's a spiritual lens or something. If you look at the Kabbalion or other things, through long lost knowledge, right, that we seem to have forgotten. That's always been there. Or if you take a journey of somebody doing plant medicine or meditation, and they get to a spot of ego death, and they get to a spot that they're in a higher frequency of energy. And the way that higher frequencies of energy look, if you used sound and sand on a board, sound waves on it, lower frequencies of energy would have a pattern to that sand. And as you go higher and higher frequency, the pattern changes. And so now imagine your own self through that pattern, because you're just atoms and energy and at a higher frequency, you have a different pattern, and you see a different pattern everywhere, right? And it's not your pattern is right; it's right for you. You see the different, and somebody at a lower frequency of energy would see a different pattern. They wouldn't see your pattern.
Yeah.
And both are right. Both are right at the same time, just different frequencies. Now, if you take that concept and you say, kind of what is Bitcoin? I think the people that are really understanding Bitcoin, it's a higher frequency. Or let's say, maybe a different way to say this is, if you're in meditation, if you're the Buddha, if you live in a cave, you can distract yourself from the physical world.
Yeah.
And in that meditation,
Yes.
you can be in it, or plant medicine, you can be in a higher vibrational frequency, and you can feel it. You can feel how everything's connected.
Yes.
And then you come back to live in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's connected anymore. So you go back and forth, and you chase trying to hold that higher form inside of a physical manifestation of reality that doesn't look anything like you feel here.
Yeah.
And so that a lot of people are caught there right now. And why are they caught there? Because the physical form of reality doesn't match what they feel here.
Yeah.
And even if you can't put words to what I'm describing right now, you can feel what I'm describing right now, right? So it's true. What Bitcoin will do in time, it provides unity to that, right? You can live there all the time, because the physical form of reality comes into reality from our thoughts and actions. And so if you lived in thoughts and actions that were not aligned with that, and you said, okay, I'm a Bitcoiner, but I'm measuring the fiat world, right? Then you're really just trying to get rich in Bitcoin. And then there's a different, right, or rich in fiat dollars, right, which is still the extractive system. And that's okay, right? Lots of people will do that, and lots of people will do that on their way to a greater understanding of Bitcoin, that it's so much different. So all of these things are happening at the same time on a protocol that's demanding it, right? It's imposing a new system, and that system, from an economic lens, it imposes the first global free market that's ever existed. And it means every one of us is contributing. We have to win more of the pie, we have to contribute more to other people. And then when we do, which will create margin, then other people will attack our margin by contributing more than we are. And it'll be a forever race to provide more value to more people. And all people win by that benefit. So it's an infinite game rather than a zero-sum game in the world that we live in today.
Okay, can you unpack this a little bit more? Because I think that it's so challenging for so many of us. The idea of prices going down and just how would that world look like? How could we add value, all of us, to this economy?
So in that, and I'd like you to keep pushing
Mhm.
on this, because again, I do this all the time,
Okay, cool.
when I say I do this all the time,
Yeah.
I think I'm connecting the dots for people, but I haven't connected all the dots. I jumped to the conclusion. So so please
Okay.
hold me to this. So the natural state of the free market has to be deflation,
Okay,
right?
why?
Why? That's because you are a part of the free market, choosing to gain more value all the time.
Yes, so I
And
choose the lower price.
lower, not just lower price, more value, right? But a lot of times that more value results in lower price for better quality.
Okay, and quick question there. What if we would inject money into the economy from different sources and everything would just go up in price?
Yeah, so that's a different concept. That's actually why I'm trying to hold these separately. I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
if the condition was you lived in a global free market,
Yes.
if that condition existed,
Yes.
then and you choose more value, and
Yes.
an entrepreneur, and everything that comes into existence comes out of our mind, right? AI didn't just magically appear; it came out of people's minds, right? Or a calculator app, or the Riverside that we're using right now, it comes out of people's minds,
Yes.
right? And it has to compete against what was there before,
Okay.
right? And so to win your business in Riverside, say it has to be better value than what came before it.
Yeah.
Right? And in this case, in Riverside, and the thing, it's better value than you flying me to a conference to try to call like it's 100 times better value, and now that can touch millions of people for way less cost, right? So you are choosing it because it provides value to you.
Yes.
And you're choosing it to try to make your business or whatever you're doing more successful. So you can only do that if you provide more value to other people.
Yeah.
Right. So you're going to constantly choose the best or most lowest cost or best technology or whatever solution that's in service of you providing more value.
Yeah.
And people that are watching you, they'll choose your podcast over another podcast if you provide them more value.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So the output of what I just described, if we're part of the equation that is choosing more value, and every single business has to deliver more value to the customers or go broke,
Mm-hmm.
then that has to be deflation.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that means that and I'm going to add a couple concepts to this but in a free market, prices fall to the marginal cost of production or utility. And why would that happen is because the entrepreneurs will compete and compete and compete. Well, there's even a penny of profit until it's free. And then the entrepreneurs will go and try to compete somewhere else to provide more value somewhere else because there's no more profit left.
Yeah. But quick question, could monopolies still exist? I know that you have shared a lot of times that they eventually wouldn't. But for instance, an industry that needs a lot of initial upfront capital, still nothing? Like
Still nothing. Still nothing. So again, these constructs are hard, primarily because you're trying to match what I'm saying from a system that is always demanded differently. And so why this is so hard for people is and why it's so easy, it's so simple, for once you understand it, is because you're having to go through your mental cognition of all the 5,000 years of human history and all of the books that are written that tell you different.
Yeah.
Right. And all the school that you've taken, everything else that tells you differently. And that different has never been a global free market.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a control system. And so it would be normal to, if you're going through all of that and everything you've read before and all of what you've been taught, and you feeling like you're essentially this fish in the water, not knowing what water is,
Yeah.
to try to merge the thing I'm saying into your previous point of view.
Yeah.
But they're incompatible together. Those systems are incompatible together, and we've never lived in the system I'm describing. Well, if you're in Bitcoin, if you're spending in Bitcoin, you're living in the first global free market. You're in the early parts of the first global free market that any single person on the planet is welcome to join you. Right? That's what it. But why this is so hard is because, and what you say, I say it over and over and over again, and I do. I say it over and over and over again, and it feels like, for me, somebody hears it, they know it's true.
Yeah.
And then they fight it and they move back and they move back, but it's never looked like that. It's never looked like that. It can't be true. And so it takes time for them to unwind, to hear it over and over and over again, to be able to really grasp what that's, and as they do, they move to a deeper understanding.
Yes.
Right. Just like what's happening with you, just like what's happened with me, happens with everyone. Same thing, which would be normal, right? Which would be normal if our minds look like this, and our minds are a whole bunch of neurons strung together in different that learned the way the world looks from an abstract reality that holds that reality in process, and this new reality is imposing different neural pathways. You wouldn't have the neural pathways to hang this new information off until you develop them.
Yeah. So what kind of paradigm is this asking us to adopt?
Well, and this is really important. It's not asking you anything. It's imposing a new paradigm. Right. And it doesn't care what you think. It really doesn't. It doesn't care what I'm saying. Every 10 minutes, there's a new block, and that energy-backed system, that energy-backed protocol bounded by energy, is imposing new rules for society that are 180 degrees different than anything that's ever existed before. It's not asking you anything. You have a choice. It's an open, permissionless protocol. You have a choice to listen to what it's saying. You have a choice to contribute your time and energy into the honest network. And your life, because of that choice, it will arguably get better and better and better as you do more. But it's not asking you anything.
Right. Yeah. No, of course. And so, but what would allow us to maybe see it better, understand it better?
So that's where I think conversations like this is. So think about the cognitive dissonance of two true statements, right? And that's what cognitive dissonance is. These are both true, yet they provide different outcomes. So both of these are true. What I'm about to say, the natural state of the free market is deflation. It's a true statement. We've already gone down a couple more levels to describe exactly why.
Yeah.
And now another true statement. A credit-based system can't allow deflation.
Right.
So that credit-based system, and you asked the question before, what would it look like if you were injecting more and more, essentially, dollars first, and more fake dollars, more and more manipulation into the system that should make everything cheaper.
Yeah.
Right. And that was the free market. Well, there are a couple of things you could say. It's not a free market for sure. Right. But it also means it go deeper. It means nobody lives in a democracy anymore, because more of the money comes from the manipulation than taxes, and nobody has a vote in the manipulation of money. So nobody lives in a democracy anymore. Yeah. You could keep following this that string of what does it mean? It means we've always lived in a zero-sum game. that's reset through war, where we start the zero sum game again, right? And how does that happen? It happens because as you break money more and more, you concentrate, you centralize up wealth and power in very few people who make all the rules, and everybody else suffers. And as you do that more and more, then you can't keep doing, because people start to see their suffering and they rise up. And how do you control them first? First, you divide the country. It's those people, right? You enforce, you coercion, control, you drive different laws that punish those people so they can't rise up. Then what do you do? Because you can't hold them down forever. You create bigger enemies outside your borders, where those people believe it's somebody else causing their pain.
Yeah.
And the entire world has repeated that pattern over and over and over again for the control of money. Because if you just asked what is money, I don't think people even ask that. They don't know. If the economy is crazy simple, we trade with each other to gain more value, all over the world, and the output of that is deflation. That's it. You could explain the entire economy to a 5-year-old through what I just described. So what does that mean? Economics and the PhDs who are telling us what economics looks like, and all these math models, that all these models are contingent on money being manipulated forever to drive their Rube Goldberg machine, right? And nobody's wanting to question, because they don't feel like they're smart enough to understand economics, because of this lens that they've been taught they're not smart enough to ask these questions, when the question is super simple. All money is an abstract concept to hold together trade so we can trade with people. And so if you manipulated that trade, if you manipulated that money, you would have to manipulate all human connection. You'd have to manipulate trade. You'd have to manipulate everything. You'd have to manipulate time. And it always breaks because you do.
Right.
So ultimately, though, Adriana, that's why this is hard to see. When you're trying to pull Bitcoin into your narrative of the way the world's always worked, it can't. It doesn't. It's a completely opposite system that's incongruent.
Yeah. So Bitcoin would then also allow us to really have abundance to flourish, right?
So asking that question is, so if everything comes into existence from our mind, right, and we choose the best value, then wouldn't it seem obvious that if you added more minds to be able to create more value to us in the free market, that we would achieve abundance faster? We would have everything we could ever want. Prices in the output would be falling lower and lower and lower all the time. And it would be a competitive world to provide value to other humans.
Yeah.
Kind of a beautiful thing, and kind of a beautiful thing that and I get why that's such a hard concept for people stuck in the old mindset to see, because they've always lived in if I extract this from those other humans, I can win more.
Yeah. Always competition, right?
Always, always a zero-sum game of competition. Whereas the free market, a true free market, isn't a zero-sum game. It's an infinite game, because you're unlocking the power in everyone's mind to contribute to society in the way they best deem fit. And the market is a voting machine of using the value that's best for each person.
So do you see then it being so deflationary that at some point we won't even need it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's what it imposes. So by the year 2140, relative to Bitcoin, now it'll still go on because of the way that but our mindsets will change so radically. The change is so profound that energy is free. right? Like all of these things, the inputs in most of the things that we do, because of what I'm talking about, become true abundance. Now, I want to be careful about, because I'm not saying utopian, right? Or dystopian, because these are just labels that people. I believe the human spirit is always going to try to solve problems, right? And will, but what could you say? Who we are in that equation? We are abundance creating machines out of scarcity. There has never been something, like, if you look back in time that was scarce, that we didn't, that
And
we
that
couldn't survive, that we didn't unlock and create abundance from. And I think it's just starting. I think it's only just started. It's moving faster and faster and faster. And as we unlock more minds into that, we unlock more abundance for us.
That's so cool. It's so beautiful. And can you go into that Bitcoin is open, decentralized, secure protocol bound to energy?
Bounded by energy. Yeah. So each word is important. And I think this depends on who's watching a podcast now. So some will have heard me say this over and over again. But Bitcoin, to me, is those principles together, and a way to make that simple. And each one matters. So open means open, permissionless. It doesn't require you to ask anybody. So you could be living in Democratic Republic of Congo. You could be anywhere on the planet, essentially in a man-made prison of scarcity. Yeah. And you could move your time to an open protocol and contribute to the open protocol that is repricing the world. And so your wealth in that will go up and up and up, and a whole bunch of other things will happen as you start to move your time. Open to anybody. Decentralized and secure. The way that, and I'm not going to go into deep technical, but the way that the mining works and the way that the nodes work to run the mining, and the way that the mining pools work to the free market, always driving to make sure this stays decentralized and secure, means you have a vote. If you run a node, if you are an economic actor and are spending this, your vote counts, and any changes have to come through you. And so if you would know this, you contribute to it, and you can see everything happening. You're part of the network. Instead of trusting somebody else to be able to extract from you, you are part of this, and that's why consensus changes are also so hard, and that keeps it decentralized. And more and more people that understand that then run nodes, and then understand how deep that is, and understand they are never going to let this get centralized. I'm not saying there isn't risks. I'm not saying, but when you're doing this and when you're deep on this, you understand the risks, and you're preventing those before they even happen. You're doing a whole bunch of others. Like for us in Ego Death, we're building a whole bunch of technology funding companies that remove those risks far before those risks even emerge. So you're part of that network, and you see a different world because of that. Security. This hasn't been cracked 16 years. Same every 10 minutes. No hacks. No a vigilant army ensuring that it stays secure. Protocol technologies are winner take most. Protocols are winner take all. Protocols come in layers. They don't require any other coins. All of the nonsense of crypto, blockchain, all nonsense. It all goes to zero. Protocols come in layers, and they expand functionality and give more capability, and some trade-offs at each layer that expand that capability. The internet is the last protocol people would realize. Internet is running what we're doing right now. That protocol is running what we're doing right now. And that protocol started in 1969 with a very narrow thing that was designed to keep communication in a nuclear holocaust. And on top of that, because it was so narrow, it was bulletproof. And then the next layer comes on and expands the capability. And that next layer comes on and expands the layer capability. Then HTTP comes on in 1989 by Tim Berners-Lee and expands the capability, which becomes what we all think of. And most people, that entire way it was happening, right, entire time that was happening, also were trying to say, I have a intranet that's designed for my own company that's better than the internet. So open protocols win, and they win it all. It's a winner take all. And then in 1989 or 1990 or 1995, most people still discounted how that would be winner take all, and everything would be built on top of it. So that's what's happening on Bitcoin on a protocol. It's expanding its functionality and capability in layers without needing different coins or anything else. And if people actually knew, if they, like, you probably know, but if you're at the front edge of seeing what is happening there, you already know what's going to, already know it's a parallel internet. You already know it's an entire, the capability to be able to do everything on this is expanding, and it's bounded by energy. And so bounded by energy is, you have something that, how mining works in proof of work, having to invest capital cost and find low cost energy to be able to have a chance to be able to win a reward, and then have the nodes audit you to make sure you won it fairly. How that works, it bounds this entire protocol to energy. So now you have two different things. You have this new energy-backed protocol, which is gaining capability all the time, and you have a piece of paper measuring the world. Which one's better representation of the world? And then, so I use this house as an example. This house was measured in Bitcoin, was 300 Bitcoin 5 years ago. This house is now 18 Bitcoin. This house in 5 years will probably be less than a Bitcoin. Because why? Because it enforces the free market. It is imposing a global free market, and all prices to the energy-backed protocol are falling exactly as you'd expect them to fall. The energy, if I price energy in the same Bitcoin, you can see energy prices are all falling at the same rate. If you price anything in Bitcoin, you can see the same thing. Versus the piece of paper, people think Bitcoin's rising, right? Because they're so used to the piece of paper denominating their view that they're trying to get rich in the piece of paper. And if you didn't have Bitcoin at all, and if you weren't measuring from a piece of paper, and you didn't have a Bitcoin on a piece of paper, your piece of paper is just losing purchasing power forever.
Yeah.
So it's so easy to like, it's so simple. And then now, if you're measuring anything that way, so all of the noise, whether Trump says Epstein didn't do anything, and it was like all of that noise, you would expect the control system to control. You would expect the control system. You'd expect the money. And no matter who was in it,
Yeah.
all the noise that people are feeding with all their time and energy, and then they're spending in that money and energy, is just feeding the thing that is co-opting their time, but they think they're doing something, right? And all of the time is inside there. And if you just tune it out and just move your time and energy to the honest system, you'll see a different world. It doesn't matter. It's being replaced.
And how do you do that if you still have to pay your bills in the fiat system, if you're being paid in dollar, euro, whatever fiat currency?
Yeah, so really good question, and this is because this is so early, but and so you'll move as much time as you can or feel right to, and each time you'll do it, you'll move more. So my simple kind of thing I say is, if you're spending 1% of your energy in Bitcoin, spend 2%. If you're spending 2, spend 4. Spending 4, spend 8. What you're doing, what you're showing people right now, what Natalie Brunel did before you, what a whole bunch of people that I know are just like incredible, what Michael Saylor did, right? A bunch of the people who are now showing up as thought leaders in the space did the same thing as everyone else. They just moved their time. As they started to understand it, they moved their time and they wanted to spend more time, and their time expanded into this same thing. And so I get it, because it's a similar thing happened to me. At one time, I was talking about Bitcoin all the time. And I was in the other system. I made all my money in the other system, and it was a giant kind of wake up call of hypocrisy. How could I expect the world to change when my actions weren't part of that change? And that was a hard thing for me to deal with. Why I know this would be hard for anybody is because I went through it myself, like everybody goes through it. And so me moving my time to create Ego Death Capital unlocked something that I couldn't see before. It was so powerful. And what I get to do today because of moving my time is staggering. Now, I could have told myself that lie for a long time. I needed this money. I needed this to be able to do. And I'm not trying to impose what I believe people should do on them. They should do whatever they want at the right time for them. I can just tell you from my own adventure,
Yeah.
the more time I've put into this, the better everything becomes. The more I see, the faster everything happens.
Yeah.
And then everybody's up to make that decision for themselves. And whatever in the global free market, how can you provide value doing the thing that you're the best at in the world to somebody else? And when you do that, provide value.
Can you go a bit into Ego Death Capital? And also, I'm in love with the name. So, what brought you to name it like this, and how does it work?
So what brought so it wasn't me that named it. It was actually Andy Pitt on our team. One of so Andy, Nico, and I started it together, and she came up with the name. I loved it, so it was probably her influence then to Nico and then to me. So I was third of seeing the name, but it just felt right. Felt right from where this is really going. Felt right, connecting the dots to where this is really going, not how venture capital looked before, how something would look as you're investing in people to create value for other people.
Yeah.
And what that long-term relationship would have to look like, how it changes literally everything. So it just felt like it captured what we wanted to capture by that. And then you have to show up that way, right? Yeah. And so we do our best to show up that way. We make mistakes too, but we do our best. And that unlocked our ability to at least for their initial capital into the company, other people who believed in our ability to be able to do that. And it was it's just a startup like anything else at that time. And then our proof of work. Can we deliver that? Can we find the right entrepreneurs to back? Can we help them? Can we, for me, I'd made so many mistakes in my life and building companies. Could I use some of the patterns and some of the frameworks and some of the ideas that I had learned through hard mistakes, to help entrepreneurs create their dreams, which would then impact other people? We had so much success in that in the first fund, I can't believe it still. In over 3 years, we haven't had a failure. Right, that's so rare in venture capital. In venture capital is a hits business. You have 1 in 10 that make. We don't have a failure, and it's crazy. And some of the growth and how fast some of these companies are growing by creating value for other people and then denominating their balance sheet in Bitcoin. It's so staggering. And then we just oversubscribed our second fund, which is 100 million, to essentially, and that's the biggest Bitcoin only venture fund that's launched today. And so what it's telling you is more and more people are starting to understand this, and capital's to accelerate this. And we are one node, 1031, other venture capital too, then they're great in this space. There are also nodes in accelerating this change that we're talking about.
And how does it work in practice? Do you fund only in fiat or also in Bitcoin?
Yeah, so because of the way that regulation and everything works today, and we wouldn't want to take Bitcoin before we were ready to fund, right? So what we typically do is you so somebody commits capital to the fund, and that capital is committed over about a 4-year time period as we're making investments. We'd rather they hold their own Bitcoin at that time. Then the capital call for our company is placed in fiat,
Mm-hmm.
and then what happened? Then the company takes that fiat. Sometimes when we help them with this too, so we look at their balance sheet, what it needs. Should they put some in Bitcoin? Should they keep in fiat? What does that look like, or what balance does it need to look like based on what their losses, what their plans are going to be to create profitability? And then so they run their businesses, but over time, as they generate profits, those profits are all in Bitcoin.
Okay.
And so their balance sheets are growing in Bitcoin. A way to look at this and it seems so obvious. I don't know why it's not obvious.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were in Argentina, and you could buy US dollars in 2000, you would have escaped the massive devaluation in Argentina, or you could say the same thing in Venezuela. And a lot of people use US dollars to do that.
Yeah.
But what if instead of just holding the US dollars, you could build US value businesses that accrued more US dollars? It would look totally different than the person just holding the US dollars.
Right.
So now we think everybody lives in Venezuela, Argentina. They just don't know it, right? We think the US dollar, or we think everyone in the US lives there. They just don't know it yet.
Right.
Because it's a relative devaluation rather than, and the only reason people don't know it is they think they're winning against Argentina because the relative devaluation is so much faster somewhere else.
Yeah.
Well, they can see for sure they're being devalued.
Yeah.
Bitcoin isn't. So what's happening is we're building businesses that are denominating Bitcoin and expanding the free market there, which also provides the off-ramp for all of the people getting killed in the existing system. That open decentralized secure protocol. It's the new internet, so to speak, is going to be everything.
Yeah. And how do you see on a Bitcoin standard building businesses, especially businesses that need upfront capital?
Yeah. So this is I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, and so there's a mistake that people are saying over and over and over again, comparing the old framework to the way businesses are formed today. Most business formation does not come from debt. I've never been able to raise debt on an idea.
No.
Somebody has to believe in you and your idea to put that into action, and they have to. That's equity. So there's no difference. It's just so equity funds early stage businesses. Period. Because somebody has to believe in your vision of the future that's going to provide value later on and how you're going to do it. And debt would never believe that, because debt needs, if they don't do this, I own their business, but there is no business there at first.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a totally different model. You don't need, but I think there's a lot of people who falsely believe that debt's required for the entrepreneurial process to work, and it isn't at all.
Right.
In fact, it's probably antithetical to it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. And okay, if I'm an entrepreneur and want to build something on Bitcoin, want to help Bitcoin adoption, what are my steps? What should I do?
So depending on, and what ends up happening is there's different capital pools and early stage. So a lot of times, forget Bitcoin right now, but it's the same thing could map over to it. So my first technology business
Yeah.
What did I do? What did I do? I had zero skill set, no knowledge. I wasn't known. I just had an idea that was so crazy. So what would I do? I would have to advance that idea. First I went, okay, could this work? I asked a whole bunch of people. I made tons of calls, met a whole bunch of people. Could this work? And then when I realized, okay, I think there's a nugget here. How can I do this? First, I put my own money into it. So proof of work. But then I didn't have enough money, right? Because I hadn't created anything before. So what would I do? Who likes me? My friends, family, right? Who believes in me? Who shouldn't believe in me? Maybe, but I can raise enough to be able to get to a proof point that then I can unlock another source of capital that is early stage seed or pre-seed capital that then says, okay, his proof where he's done these things to then another stage of capital. And there's different stages of capital all the way along that. And as you prove more, sometimes you don't need to go to the next stage of capital because you're already profitable, growing so fast, right? But if you do need more, then you have to deliver something to have evidence for the next stage of capital. And why is the next stage of capital? Because the next stage of capital doesn't invest in the same risk, but they also don't take the same ownership, right? They take less ownership. It's a higher valuation because you've already proved yourself. And so that path is I think similar for just about anybody wanting to start something. So if you have an idea, it's the idea as much as you can till you have some sort of evidence that you have a team or this that's ready for somebody to say, okay, I believe you're going to get to that next stage.
Right. That's fascinating to see also all these businesses being built on eco-death capital. And it's really nice to see the evolution.
And we're just one of some venture capital that's doing this, but it's so I'm a big fan of all of the venture capital, and all the capital that's accelerating this ecosystem.
Yeah. And how can Bitcoin remain decentralized? You were already mentioning that there are maybe a few risks, especially maybe with now CBDCs coming and all that. How do you see that?
I just think that when CBDCs come to try to, and that would be a centralizing risk. Another centralizing risk if no one used this as a currency, and you had an inflationary monetary system, then this would have to get centralized, right? And then that centralization would attack this. But it is being used as a currency all around the world, and it's expanding as a currency. And then, and so the biggest risk is us, and it's always been us. And so if people know this and run nodes and are using this and expanding their energy and time into it, there's no risk. Even the people that are talking about this, think about people who are using CBDCs or trusting the state or X or Y and for validation that now they can use this. Do you think those people are running nodes? Do you think they have a vote? They don't have a vote, so there's no risk.
Yeah, no, very true. Yes. And I mean, I guess it's also what you were saying. We have the risk need of having these centralized entities kind of giving us some sort of sense of control or security, right?
Yeah, the beautiful thing here is once you understand this, you have agency. Every single person has agency, and they create the world that they want to live in through that agency. And this gives you agency. It allows you to see that you've always had agency. And that can manifest in a totally different paradigm than has ever existed.
So maybe just an idea of where we're heading, like 5 to 10 years.
The simple thing is this: if you're in Bitcoin and really understanding it, you're already there. You're already living in the future, and more people are going to join you in the future. Right? It's inevitable. More people are going to understand that they can unlock from this, and it's going to be chaotic. If you're measuring what's happening in the existing system, which is already insolvent, already a control system, or that has to get worse, you're going to give up your agency to that. It's going to try to pull you back but you don't have to let it. You can spend each day contributing to this, and it'll feel totally different. And you know that that's going to happen. But this new system is emergent, and it's emergent from you. So the more people, the faster it happens for those people. But for the people who are already in it, it's already happened.
Amazing. Just one more. What would you leave the listeners with? What kind of question maybe they could sit with?
Just the openness and the curiosity to keep going on the same thing that you're doing, Adriana. Just the if some of these things make sense, or if they tickle your brain in a way that, oh my God, I hadn't thought about that. Keep going.
Thank you so much, Jeff. This was amazing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
No problem. It was great chatting.